Man, just after sunrise, the light is absolutely incredible right now. My name is Mark, and I'm a professional motorsport videographer. I travel all over the world filming car racing, and I make videos about it here on YouTube. Today I'm giving you an in-depth look at my typical workflow at a race meeting, from the equipment I use to trackside shooting, file management, editing software, and even safety gear. If you've ever wondered what it's like to work in motorsport as a content creator, this is the video for you. So let's get into it. So I'll give you a little rundown on the camera equipment that I'm using today. I have the Sony FX6. This is an incredible camera, cinema grade. It's from Sony's Cinema line. It shoots 120 frames per second in 4K. It's got ND filters built into the body. You can build it out into a massive rig or use it as a much more compact rig like I have. I've added on like an articulating arm to make it a little bit more ergonomic. It's an incredible camera for what I do as a run and gun filmmaker at the racetrack. And then for lenses right now for this session, I'm using the 100 to 400 Sony G Master. It's an incredibly sharp lens, great for doing most of my trackside stuff. And in my back bag right here, I've got a Sigma 24 to 70, so I can get some wider shots while we're out here. Now I have a whole bunch of different lenses, prime, specialty things, but honestly, I could do probably 95% of my job with just those two lenses. They cover pretty much everything. And on a sunny day like this, I'm also using a circular polarizer on the lens to help cut down on some of the glare. And since it's the first session of the weekend, I'm mostly getting those sort of like basic standard shots where we just want to send some video clips to the client, they can post in their story. Just what we call like the meat and potatoes shots, very simple stuff. And we'll worry about getting artsier stuff after we have those easier shots in the bank. I'm also mixing up my frame rates. I'm not shooting everything in slow-mo or everything in regular speed. I'm doing a little bit of a mix, probably an 80-20 between regular speed and slow-mo. I used to shoot a lot more slow motion stuff when I was younger, and now I'm starting to realize it's really only best used in impact scenarios when a car gets sideways or a car drops off a curb to show like a nice detail of something the car is doing. I find too much slow-mo could just be a bit of a crutch, and as much as it's cool and everything, I'm kind of outgrowing it a little bit. That's my old man yells at clouds thing for today, is stop shooting so much slow-mo. But there's no clouds in the sky, actually. It's quite beautiful here. Got the shots I need from that first session. I'm gonna head back to the media center now and take you guys through the whole workflow of that. File management, editing software, all those things. And then it's a quick turnaround until we start the next session. Back in the media center now, I've got my memory card plugged in. I'm going to start transferring my footage. To take you through how I kind of store my files and my file management, I've got two SSDs here. These are solid state drives. They're incredibly fast. These are the Samsung T7s. Basically what I'll do is I'll individually transfer all of the footage onto each drive. I'll work off one of them, and the second one is a carbon copy. So I have two copies of everything. Then when I get back to our accommodation at night, I have another just regular hard drive that I'll back up to overnight. So I have an additional copy, and that hard drive stays at the accommodation and never leaves. So at least if like something crazy happens, like I get robbed walking out of the track, I at least have most of everything that I shot, from the weekend. At least have a copy of everything before that day. So good to have three copies. I don't back up to a cloud just because the cloud storage for the type of files we're shooting is insanely expensive, and also because we just often don't have fast enough internet to do that when we're working like remotely at these racetracks. Like I've got a remote setup with a laptop stand and everything. I'm not sitting, in a proper office with connections and hard lines and everything. We just don't have that, right? We're often just like running and gunning it and working this way. So I'll get the footage copied over and I'll pop it over my editing software and show you guys how that works. Got my editing software open. I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro. I've also got DaVinci Resolve. I've also used Final Cut, but right now I'm using Premiere for these short edits. I've got my footage dialed up from that session, and I can just scrub through it in this viewer here, brings it up into this window, and then I can clip the in and clip the out and say, okay, that's a good shot. And then I just hit my hotkeys and I bring the footage down into the timeline. And then I can go through and I can edit it and all of that stuff. Right now I'm working on what we call a priority send, where I'm just getting a few solid clips from that session, editing them vertical for like an Instagram story, and uploading them to Dropbox, and then sending them to the clients. We use Dropbox for file sharing because that's what our clients like. They can just save it directly to the camera roll on their phone. It's really easy to use. Upload a few things to there. They'll have a few stories. I'll send them an email, say, hey, there's some things up, and they can post right away and start documenting the race weekend. And then later on, we'll have longer edits to do and things like that. But right now, after the first session, it's important to get those first few clips out. Photographers will do the same thing, get a few quick photos out so they can do the first social media post of the weekend. So I'm going to dial in and do some editing, and then before we know it, it'll be time for the next session, which I'll be spending down in the pit lane. So the first part of our pit lane session today is spent right here before the session starts, next to Jessica, where we're just waiting for the drivers to come walking through here. Drivers are very unpredictable. They're like, what's a good animal that a driver could be? Like,
Squirrel.
They're like squirrels. They see something shiny or they hear a noise and they run off. So you gotta plan to be in the right spot to get them walking in. So we're here just hanging out, get a few shots of drivers as they walk in. And then the cars will be rolling through here, and it'll be time for practice to start.
I'm going to do this bit as a VO because working in the pit lane can be a bit sketchy. There's cars coming in and out, and it's not really the best place to be vlogging. Speaking of safety, I do have to wear some specific safety gear to work in the pit lane, mainly a fireproof suit and a helmet. I actually have a full video on racetrack safety on my channel if this is something that you want to know more details about. When I spend a session in pit lane, I'm mainly looking to get shots of drivers getting ready and climbing in cars and maybe some practice pit stop shots. It's a bit tougher in this championship as during practices, the mechanics aren't required to wear fireproof suits. So most are just wearing pants and a t-shirt. So pit stop practice doesn't look very cool, and you can't really, cheat it into your recap from the race. This causes me to focus a bit more on close-up shots and getting shots of the car peeling out. Getting all the drivers you need can be difficult as well, as each car has multiple drivers and not all of them will run in every practice session, and then this is further confounded if you're covering multiple teams. Practice sessions in the pits honestly aren't super exciting. Most teams are just running a few laps at a time and then coming in to make changes and repeat that process over and over. I've done 90-minute sessions in the pits where I've only shot maybe 20 to 25 clips.
Not a bad session as pit lane sessions go. Got quite a bit of stuff. Got driver portraits, got some engineers, got a little bit of practice pit stop stuff, but not much. They weren't doing a lot of practice stops, so still the first session of the weekend. Got about a 3.5 hour break now until the next sessions. We're gonna have some lunch and then sit back in the media center at the laptop and do a bunch more editing. Got to cut up some clips, start on some edits, and I'll show you guys more of that sort of editing process and my file management and how I organize my my editing software. So you guys a little bit more insight into that. But I need some lunch, and I think there's lunch right over there in the cafeteria. So let's go get some food. That's cool. I've been editing for a little bit while now, and earlier I showed you kind of how my editing software, Adobe Premiere Pro, is laid out and how I do it. Now I'll kind of show you a little bit more in-depth things in it. Let me spin this around. So what I'm doing down here is I'm actually doing a color code system. So this is all of my footage sitting in bins. So these are shots of various stuff, and then I have it color coded based on what it is. So we've got like shots of certain people are in purple. We've got other shots that are labeled in blue. We've also got anything that's 13 Autosport is labeled yellow, as you can see, and it just helps me later on when I'm going through the software and doing the editing to be able to quickly pull clips by just searching by label and then grabbing those shots, looking through them quickly. And it's just all about, when you're doing these on-location things, streamlining your editing as much as possible, because we're crazy busy the entire time we're here doing all kinds of different stuff, running around and also producing content. Like event video production is a grind because we're on the ground, we're filming, we're editing. It's all due really quickly. I'm not just, shooting and then going home and having 2 weeks to edit. It's all, due very quickly after the race is over. Like, we've already delivered stuff today and we've only had 1 practice session. So it's a lot going on. So anything that I can do in my editing software to make my job easier, I will. I also use what we call LUTs for my color grading. So when you color your clips, I'll show you that here, I'll spin this around. So basically when the clips come in, as you can see, this is very gray, right? So this is a log profile. It shows up like this out of the camera because it's capturing the most dynamic range and the most data. You then have to color it over here in the software. So what I do is I just drop what we call a LUT onto the footage. So I have a layer here over top of all the clips, an adjustment layer, and I go up and I just add a LUT to it. So this is what it looks like without that. Then I go in, I go to my Phantom LUTs by Joel Fullamaro, grab a neutral FX6 Legacy, drop it on, and now this is colored. It's not perfect, but I can make some tweaks to each individual clip, like I've already done that. Here, make a few tweaks, and then I've got this clip edited and out, and everybody's happy, and it looks fantastic. And that's basically how I'm able to deliver things so quickly. I'm not the best color grader in the world. You know, if I was doing a longer project, I would go right down here to DaVinci Resolve, and I'd throw it in there, and I'd do like a crazy color grade and take a lot of time on it. But we just don't have that time every day when we're at the racetrack. We are doing one longer project while we're here that's due after the race. That I'm editing in Resolve because I want to have all the color suite and everything. But for this short social stuff, just Adobe Premiere Pro, I can just bang things in there. I've got presets, I've got transitions, all kinds of different stuff to just make it as simple as possible and get things out the door. We're just getting ready for the next session now. I'm going to start in the pits. Are you going to start in the pits or are you just going to go out?
I would like to just go out.
Just go out the whole time. Brent's going to go out the whole time. I'm going to do about 45 minutes in pits and then go out. So leave me International Horseshoe because I can walk there. Okay. But basically we're just kind of planning where we're going to go. And we're also looking at SunCalc, which is, I've talked about this on my YouTube channel multiple times. This will show you sort of exactly where the sun's going to be at a certain time of day. So sunset's around 5:40. So this is showing me at 5:33 p.m. The sun's going to be over here just about behind the grandstand there, going this way. So if you want to shoot front lit, you would shoot going in this direction. If you want to shoot backlit, you'd shoot going in this direction. So it's a really cool resource. It's free, suncalc.org. It works worldwide. You can just see everything. I even have an app on my phone that does the same thing. So when I'm trackside, I can just look at where the sun's going to be and what time the sunset or sunrise is. So it's really helpful. There's also MoonCalc if you want to get a shot with the moon in it. So it's a great piece of technology that just helps with my workflow and figuring out exactly, you know, where I'm going to go.
So I'll do another quick VO here just to recap my second trip to the pit lane today. Most of the same from the first session, honestly, but I was able to get shots of some different drivers, and there was some very nice light as golden hour moved in.
So I'm down pretty much in the same spot I was this morning, shooting that same corner exit, but now the light is amazing. It's golden hour. Right now I'm shooting what we call front lit, or with the light. The light's on the subject going this way, the same way I'm shooting. I'm doing a bunch of panning shots at regular speed, 24 frames per second, and I'm also doing some really tight shots where you can actually see the driver in the car as the light goes through the window. You can see their hands up on the steering wheel. It's a really cool shot. Sometimes you can even see their eyeballs inside their helmet if the light's at the right angle. And when we're done getting all our front lit stuff, we can turn around this way and get backlit where the sun's behind me. It's more like a silhouette effect and it looks really cool. We're back in the media center now, transferring files, looking at our footage. Don't have much to deliver right now. We did a lot of stuff earlier today, but we're starting on edits. I'm kind of like culling footage, looking through things, you know, labeling things as I showed you before. But hopefully we'll be out of here in about an hour and go get something to eat. But that's basically kind of a day in the life. We basically do that, we pack up, and then we head out, and it's bright and early again tomorrow. So this is the first day of this event, which is 2 weekends, so it's a long one. We have a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, hopefully you learned a lot about my workflow and how that works. I want to do a little bit more in depth, and I asked people, you know, what do you want to learn? What do you want to see? And they said, really want to know about your workflow and how you set up your editing, your file management. So hopefully I covered all that today. But yeah, it's going to be a good night. Thank you for your card, Brent. Appreciate that. Hopefully there's good shots on there.
Oh, there is.
Your life depends on it. Yeah, but anyway, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Thanks to all the channel members. You know, like, subscribe, all those wonderful things. It's always embarrassing to say that when there's other people around, but hey, we're just vlogging. We're just doing our thing. I'm gonna blur his face so you don't have to look at it. Love you, buddy. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.